Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Sisterhood Speaks. I am your host, Six Keys, and I am joined by my co host, Lorena.
Everyone.
Today we have another special guest on the show. Her name is Yerim Kim, and she is a concept artist at Ubisoft Montreal. And some of her most recent work was on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Thank you very much for joining us, Yerim.
Hey, thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm a little bit nervous, but I have beer on me, so
It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
yeah.
And congratulations on your work in Valhalla.
Yeah, thank you. It's amazing, right?
It's a beautiful game.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. I really like how our team had achieved in this game.
Yeah, we've been both playing through it recently, and we have quite a lot of questions to cover. So, if you don't mind, we can dive right in.
Mm-hmm.
So, for a little bit of background, let's first hop into the Animus and go back in time for a bit. How did you decide you wanted to be an artist, and what was it like getting to where you are now?
Oh, that's long ago. So I was that art kid in the class, always wanted to I always loved to draw. And when people ask me what do you want to be in the future, I always answered as a comic book artist or like painter. Always. I don't know why, but I always knew I wanted to be an artist. It was very clear to me that what I wanted to do, what there's no clear moment that like why art, something like that.
Yeah, it just came naturally to you.
Yeah, it came naturally to me. I don't know why.
Did you study art in school?
Yeah, sure. So long story short, so I start my art actual study in high school. So I always love to draw, and there's a school for the some specific major in Korea, and there's a two school with a comic book major. So I went to the Gyeonggi Art of High School. It's a high school that has some artistic major, and I was with a comic book major. So I study. But it's not like a study. It's like just a supporting those art kids to be whatever they want to be an artist or something like that. We just taste a lot of good animation and good comics, and those good things. And later I went to the university. I get into the University of Art, which is Konkuk University in Seoul, South Korea. And it was a film and animation major. So I touched up a lot of things like comics, animation, and film, and things like that.
So it sounds like you studied art from pretty early on. Would you say that this is a traditional career path for concept artists?
I mean, I didn't know the concept artist would be my job because I didn't know, about this industry, because the concept art is very new thing. It's I think we don't even have we didn't even have that name, the concept artist, like 20 years ago. I think they always talking like illustrator or something. So I think it's not traditional career path for the concept artist, maybe, but it's very common path to those artist kid, specifically interested in the animation and entertainment industry, I would say.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
Were there any artists or works that you look to for inspiration?
Yeah, as a concept artist.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of amazing art, and it's sometimes even a musician inspired me, as a concept artist. Mm, yeah, there's a lot of artists, but I have a funny story because I have an inspiration folder that a lot of I put just a lot of artwork I liked in the internet. And most of my coworkers nowadays, they were all in my inspiration folder. So I ended up with working with the artists I really looked up to. So
Aw, that's really sweet.
yeah, it's so surreal.
Do you have any names of musicians or artists who are like the top of your list?
Oh yeah, so like in that inspiration folder, I remember I feel like I really wanted to do something like this, in this oldie beautiful artwork. I pick up like a very specific art when I the time when I tried to make my first portfolio, and I picked up like few artwork as a for the concept art career path. And that was I can name him like Vincent Gagnon in French way. His English name is probably Vincent Gagnon, who did the concept art for the most of AC main character like Black Flag and Arnold's the main outfit, and even Origin. He did the Origin, the character concept art. And yeah, and so Bang Sang's Black Flag artwork, the character concept art for the Edward was I feel like I'm just clicked in that artwork. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do, because it's not just about having a lot of beautifully detailed outfits. It has a personality. They are in the pose, dynamic pose, and you can see their narrative and decision making behind the design, because they are pirate and they are like assassin, and they blend in beautifully with the narrative and personality. So I thought like, yeah, I wanted to do that, something like this. Yeah, and he was the one. So, and also like I really like some digital artists that doing digital art like a traditional painting, like oil painting, because I like a lot of golden age illustration, which is like 100 years ago. There's some painter like a John Singer Sargent, and Alphonse Mucha, or like Klim, and those artists, their artwork, their oil painter oil paintery style is I always feel like, yeah, like I feel like clicked. And for the contemporary concept artist, there is a man who's called Jeff Simpson. So I liked his work because his work was very fine art style, and he's a AC origin concept artist too, and we became a friends nowadays. But yeah, anyway, like those artists were who inspired me very specifically as an artist.
It's really cool that you've been able to, work with people that you admire and inspire you.
Yeah.
I could visualize the Black Flag concept art you're talking about, because Black Flag is one of my favorite AC games, and yeah, the concept art for that game was so good.
Yeah, I know, it was so cool. He's still with UB. He's still with the Ubisoft, and he's in UB Quebec now. But I get to meet him when I joined the UB Montreal, because he was about to planning to move to the Quebec, but still in the Ubisoft. So luckily, I had a good time with him, like a beer or like a smoking time. And just a little time to get to know each other. It was great because he was my, the artists that I always looked up to.
Oh, that's great. It's exciting that you get to work with people who inspire you. I can't imagine a
Mhm.
better like working situation.
Yeah. So far, so in the AC Valhalla, I really had a great experience, great work experience ever entire my career.
I'm glad to hear that.
Mhm.
What were some projects that you worked on before joining Ubisoft? Or was Ubisoft your first job in the industry?
No, it wasn't my first job. But it's my first AAA project. Before I joined the Ubisoft, I started my career in Korea first, and it was a mobile game called Marvel Future Fight, which is the using a Marvel character and Marvel IP in the game. But the job title is the same, the concept artist and / illustrator. But I didn't feel like it's a concept art job because I didn't really get to those design in the like new design in the game because it's just based on the comic book and movie appearance and design, and I just revised the proportion or something. And most of job were the illustration, so I didn't really think this is the career path to the concept artist. But I from the very beginning, even before I get my first job, I always knew I wanted to be what kind of project I wanted to go, or like I wanted to work, or like what kind of job I wanted to achieve as an artist. So I switched to the film industry actually in Korea because back then at the time I feel like in the Korean game industry is very specific and very stylized. It's very MMO RPG, heavily based on MMORPG type of game. But I wanted to work something very cinematic, and the reason I like those console games are because it's very cinematic. There's a stories, and I prefer those narrative-driven and cinematic projects. So I switched to the film industry, which is a VFX company in Korea, and there I worked in the few movies in Korea for the Korea and China, and the Korean movie is called Monstrum. I heard it's in the Netflix US, so maybe you can find that there.
Oh, I hope it's over here as well.
Yeah, I can find it from here, Canada, so I don't know, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. Anyway, like so, Monstrum. That was the movie I worked on in Korea, and there's several other Chinese film, and I heard it's a big budget film as well, and I don't know how much revenue they make, but yeah. But when you work in the VFX company and film industry, there usually is dealing with those creature design or like FX, which is like special effect or like lighting concept art, something like that. But I always knew my forte is human figure. So yeah, character concept artist. Yeah, I wanted to work something like character concept artist. Like, give me a job. So I always I keep apply for those AAA game company like a Ubisoft or other video game in the company over here, like more Northern America or around the Northern America. And during that, so other than movie that I worked on, there are several other mobile games I worked with a company based on the LA or like company based on the Singapore, but it was usually mobile game in the game industry.
So when you got the chance to work on concept art for Valhalla, how much direction were you given on the characters? and how much of your own research goes into a design?
So direction is usually comes in two sides, which is from the directors and from the project manager, so production team, I would say. So usually directors bring those characters that usually very important in the stories, in the narrative, and they already have some ideas because they had a meeting before. So sometimes it's about outfit, sometimes about face, and sometimes it's about just the general impression. For example, for the Eivor, when I joined the team, we already knew she's gonna be blonde, but there's gonna be another hair options for sure. But basically, like the main look would be a blonde with a very turquoise green eyes, and yeah, she's a warrior and things like that. And about the outfit, the main outfit we had in the game is actually that was my first task for the Eivor, and they already had some idea about it's more about biking outfit with a leather vest, and it's overall it's very asymmetrical, and we have a lot of there's a fur on the shoulder, and they wanted to have a belt and things like that. The things like a e-bar, I would say e-bar. So someone like a e-bar, they had the idea that she's like he is like a rock star. It's like very unpredictable, like he's crazy, and they had in mind the reference, the Iggy Pop as a reference. So I look up the research, and yeah, like I try to design our own version of Ibar, yeah. And the research part, actually, like we don't need to research that much, like historically accurate, because for the Vikings, we have very few clues about what they actually wear, what their actually armor looks like. We have a clue, but it's very little. So we know like a Viking helmet with a horn is not history accurate. So besides that, we can have a freedom on with a Nordic pattern and Nordic, material like a fur and the leather and something like that, and the chainmail, something like that.
I'm actually curious because it's kind of different for different artists.
Uh-huh.
But do you prefer having more direction, like being told a specific description of a character, or do you prefer it when they kind of let you go wild with the design?
They sometimes let me go wild. Like sometimes they have no ideas about outfits or like something they haven't think about. So sometimes I can go wild, but I'd love to have at least one or two clues, like at least the theme of it, and the 40 characters like narratively important. I would like to have more direction, like about their personality, rather than like very specifically what they're gonna wear, or like what kind of hair, or like what kind of face they wanted to have, something like that.
Oh yeah, because there are a lot of characters in this game.
Yeah.
Was there a character you worked on who was especially difficult to design?
Yeah. So I'll say so. It was a Kyotbe, the asshole that killed. Oh, can I say that? Can be a spoiler.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, the Kyotbe, the father killer. The first villain. Yeah, he was very hard to design because he's very high class Viking and warrior, so he should look like a warrior, like a very brutal Viking warrior at the same time, and he should be looks like a rich, high noble class, character. So I have to draw a lot of accessory. I have to design a lot of these details on him, and also like he's a like Viking warrior, so I put him in the very dynamic pose, and so I have to handle those lighting and rendering thing and character anatomy, and also like I have to draw all the accessories that doesn't look like it's too busy or something. So it was a little bit hard to pin down.
It's kind of a shame that with so much work going into every character that some of them have less screen time than others.
Yeah.
Like you can
Yeah.
spend so much time designing a character and then they're only in the game for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but at least we have a battle with him, right?
Yeah. And do you have a favorite design from the ones that you worked on?
Yeah, so Ibar, the other villain, he got a lot of love from the team and also from the community, I guess.
Yeah, people seem to really like him.
Yeah.
One of those people that you love to hate.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, that was the point, because it's a villain, but he should be really likable, I try to handle him as a, crazy, but also like, yeah, I kind of like him,
And one of your designs is especially meaningful to AC Sisterhood, as you were the one who adapted the Sisterhood logo, which was originally designed by Sebastian Dallaria, into a tattoo design that players can find and equip on Eivor.
Mm.
How was the tattoo idea presented to you, and what were your thoughts on the project?
So, Nico, the presentation director, and my project manager, Sergio, they reached out to me and say, yeah, hey, could you redesign this design to like in our game version, in our northern way, So, but I already knew what it is about because I was watching Overhaul movement before it started and how things going, so I knew what it is about. So yeah, so I tried to blend this logo by Sebastian, and also blend with our official logo for the Asia Valhalla nicely.
And was it challenging to adapt the logo in your style?
Yeah, so for me, like honestly, designing those pattern is specifically hard for me, because you should those line, the thickness of the line should be same with the whole, those tattoo or something, drawing fine line, is a little bit hard to me. But over the time, like I'm getting used to designing those pattern over the year during the production, so it's not completely easy, but it wasn't that challenging, I would say. Yeah.
And how do you feel knowing that there are fans who want to get a real tattoo using your design?
Yeah, that's amazing, right? I'd like to see all those pictures, and yeah, and not just tattoo, like just since I work in since I worked in this project, like I see the design the character I design is in the game, and they are in the trailer, and they love, the community loves it, and and people doing cosplay or like wanting to get real tattoo of my design or something like that. It's all surreal, honestly. It's like beyond happiness. It's like surreal.
Well, you did a great job, so you deserve all the accolades.
Thank you.
So it looks like you've been playing Valhalla yourself. How are you enjoying the game?
I love it. I mean, this is I know the story because I always sneak into those video archive we have for the dev team, and I already saw all the cutscenes, so I absolutely knew all the stories. And for the gameplay, I'm like in the middle, I guess. I played like more than 60 hours. I feel like there's more things to pin down. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I did love to play it, and I'll always the world is beautiful and Eivor is beautiful. So I'm just having a good time in the England, like a
So are we.
virtual like a virtual tour. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the game is absolutely beautiful. I've sunk like a good,
Yeah.
I think over 130 hours at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm just yeah, just enjoying the map, enjoying the characters, and enjoying the stories.
And as an artist, now that you've kind of put your work out into Valhalla, is there a time and place in history that you would like to see Assassin's Creed visit in the future?
Yeah, yeah. Like, first of all, I have no idea which setting will be the next.
Of course, we're not asking for any speculation. We're just saying,
Yeah.
if you like could choose anywhere, any place in time, what would be your like ideal setting to design for?
So I thought about Russia and I thought about India once, because when I searching design reference for the concept art in the Pinterest, I found those beautiful architecture and beautiful dress from the Russia. So I think it's very beautiful and it's very unique. So it can be. I wanted to see something from Russia. I think that could be a good setting too. And also, like lately, I watched the Bahubali 2 in Netflix. So it's like an Indian superhero movie. And I think it's beautiful, their architecture and those costume even. And India has some relationship with the UK, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There
Mhm.
there are a couple of I don't know if you're familiar with the Chronicles, but they do have
Mhm.
like the side-scrolling games. One is Russia and one is India. But I know
Mhm.
for a long time fans have been asking for like full games, like
Yeah,
in
it's
those like
not.
settings. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like really full game, like right title, right?
And those games do have a very
Mm.
unique art style, which I love.
Mhm. Mhm.
It would be great to see that in a full game.
Yeah.
And not related to AC at all, but if you could do your own dream project and design for anything in games, film, comics, what would be your dream project?
Mhm. I don't know, because like AC was one of my dream project, right? So since I work in the AC, I feel like there's no specific goal in my mind as a like for the career. At the end, I wanted to enjoy the process of it, the production, the process of those creative journey, and as long just I know my preference. So as long as it's very cinematic and as long as it's very narrative driven, I think I would love to work on it. And even a film, maybe, but film production, I've already experienced. It's very quick, it's very like stressful. They doesn't give me they usually don't give me enough time to explore those creative decisions. So I experienced that. I found it is very stressful. So yeah, whatever cinematic and whatever will be the very something cinematic, something narrative driven, and something uh, meaningful and well directed and in very realistic style. Maybe yeah, I will down for it.
It sounds like you know what you want.
Yeah, I know. I know what you want. I know, and it's very specific, right? So it was a little bit hard to find the like right job and right place to work on.
Well, it sounds like you've kind of achieved your career goal, which is great, and we love seeing your work. Um, this is kind of a little bit of an aside, but we often hear artists express that they don't feel like their art is good enough, or
Mm,
even when they do find success, they struggle with imposter syndrome. And as someone who is working in a very kind of professional, somewhat high pressure like field, do you have any advice or words of encouragement for these artists?
mm, I mean, I'll say I don't know. I can give them advice because I still have it too. And actually, that would be my biggest weaknesses that I have to pin down because even after I work in this such a big project and such a big such a my career goal project, I still feel this feeling that maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe this is not cool enough, and maybe I'm not doing a right job or something. So I don't know, but what I found after like 10 plus experience of not just career, just when you just study it, is also considered as your artistic journey. So after 10 plus years of drawing and art, what I found is like as at the skill level, you will anyone can reach out that skill level they want. Like looks like a very professional and very hard to pin down, but they will eventually get there. And I knew that. So it's a matter of time you will achieve those skill level. And what really matter is it's not about skill. It's not about how well rendered and well drawn or something. It's about what kind of art you really wanted to do. What really makes you draw those things. Like it's because it's ongoing journey. You're gonna, even though you reach out to those certain point you wanted to achieve, you after that you will still do the draw or you still do the painting. And yeah, it's like ongoing thing. So like find what you really love and find what you really like achieve in this artistic journey. That's very important, I think.
I think that's really valid, especially for anyone in any sort of artistic field. So thank you. Uh,
Yeah.
do you have any specific advice you would give for students out there right now who aspire to be concept artists someday?
Mm, I don't know because it can be very even though it's under the same job title as a concept artist, it can be very diverse. So yeah, maybe it's the same with the imposter syndrome. Just to know you eventually get there, the whatever skill level or like a whatever career point you wanted to achieve, or like even just a drawing or something, and just enjoy it and just to know yourself, enjoy it, and think yeah, I think you will eventually get there would be a great advice to the student because they oftentimes they worried about their future. They can make a money with this, something like that. Like, is it really like I'm going on the right direction or something like that? But and art is hard because there's a no guaranteed way, and art is very subjective. And it's not like being a lawyer, like to go to the law school and do the test and became a lawyer. Is the art is all it's kind of ambiguous at some point. And but just to overcome those ambiguity with knowing that you are doing the right thing, and just to try hard, keep trying hard would be great advice to these students.
And I guess they have to decide for themselves if they
Yeah.
like you talked about the film industry and how stressful that can be, and that you ended up going in the game industry instead because you felt like you weren't as happy doing film work. So I guess it's something that people should consider
hmm
what they really want.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably if some film industry chance comes into me, I wouldn't say no, but I just know what I really want is, in the film industry it can be it's too fast, so it feels like sometimes it's not creative, sometimes they ask something very small thing, and that it feels like you are doing you are like a printer, you just it's like you are like a bending machine. Yeah, they just say like do this thing, and you just draw it like in an hour or something. It wasn't an hour, don't get me wrong, but it's like a day or two,
But it
which
feels
is
like an hour.
yeah, a day or two is stressful enough, and but by the fact what I really want to do is that something story driven, something cinematic, so I would, even though I switch my industry at some point to the film industry, once I always knew what I really wanted to do as a project, what kind of project I wanted to be, and yeah, I would go to the video game industry without no worry.
Yeah, it seems like having that knowledge, that idea of what you wanted, that it really helped you get where you eventually got.
Yeah, and you will find out little by little during those career and experience and try out.
I'm afraid we're going to have to wrap things up soon. But
Really? Such a soon?
I'm sorry. But before we go, we did have a question about if there are any upcoming projects that you can tell us about, personal or professional.
Mm. Upcoming professional project. Probably I will keep working on the Ubisoft and probably still on the AC brand, hopefully. And yeah, the professionally I still I wanted to ship at least the 3 titles. That is my goal in the Ubisoft, and I will keep working on the Ubisoft and try to deliver those memorable characters as much as possible. And personally, I don't know. There are some stories I wanted to tell, but it can be very personal. So I'm a little bit pushing into sideway. And there's a lot of things I wanted to try on as a concept artist, So I don't know. I don't have any specific project goal, like which platform or like which it's going to be comics or like film or whatever. But I will keep pushing I will keep push myself to be a better artist as a concept artist and as well as storyteller.
And where can fans find your work?
So I have a Twitter and Instagram and ArtStation. For the ArtStation, it's for the professional work I posted. And Instagram, I should post more. I know, but Instagram is weird, the Instagram is weird because it's image-based platform and you can post the image from the PC, whatever, it doesn't make sense to me,
My
Uh, the-
complaint as well.
yeah. How come, it's 2020, and this the humongous image-based platform still don't have a PC version of it. So yeah, but I will try to post more on the Instagram as well. But you guys can find my work in the Twitter much often. I think I will post something study or like sketches even more in Twitter.
We're gonna put all those links in the description.
Yeah, and the Instagram ID is exactly same as a Twitter ID. So yeah, you can find me there. My Twitter account user ID is Avika Art, AVIKKA /art. It was my former gaming ID.
All right. So thank you very much for joining us, Yedim. And it's been really great hearing from you about your experiences.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
And thank you as well, Laurie.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Laurie.
We hope you will all of our listeners will join us again on the next time of Sisterhood Speaks. And we wish you all safe and happy holidays.
Yeah, happy Christmas.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.